Right, as I was saying, I am an addict. Probably a lot of you watching this video are addicts as well. Addiction is far more common in society than you might realise, because when somebody says they're an addict, you expect them to be addicted to a particular substance, perhaps something illegal, something upon which one can become physically dependent, something that destroys lives, and it's not necessarily the case. I'm not addicted to any particular substance, possibly nicotine. I think that's probably it, really, in terms of some kind of physical dependency. Even that physical dependency is not very strong. I think it's pure. It's a total mental thing. I'm just, while we're on the subject of nicotine addiction, I'll show you what how I've been satisfying that addiction lately. So with this, you've probably seen these. They're becoming very popular now. They might contribute to giving up smoking. I think they might be useful for some people. The reality of it is that the number one purpose is merely a nicotine delivery system. Cigarette smoking is no longer fashionable. This is how they can sell you nicotine now. It's all patches word, chewing gum, it's all it was. Whoever's making money from nicotine is still making money from nicotine. But yeah, this is probably slightly healthier because of the less carcinogens, etc. But yeah, that's the thing in society that we're kind of allowed to be addicted to, is nicotine. You can buy it everywhere. You can buy alcohol everywhere. You can buy paracetamol everywhere. A lot of people are addicted to paracetamol. A lot of people are addicted to coffee. Most people I know, I would say, have a mild addiction to coffee. If they don't have a coffee in the morning, they'll be like shit all day long. They can't even wake up. These addictions are perfectly acceptable in society. It's not acceptable on the whole in society to be addicted to heroin or cocaine, although essentially, in small doses they're no more dangerous than alcohol or nicotine, really. The effects are different. The effects are probably milder than that of alcohol. I'm pretty sure about that. In small doses, that is. But then again, if you drank a large dose of alcohol, it would kill you on the spot. Really. So it's only because what we buy is quite heavily diluted, what we can buy in the pub or the off license. So is alcohol any really different from heroin? I'm sure it destroys more lives. I'm sure it causes more accidents on the road and things like that. I'm sure it causes more domestic brutality. Yeah, and again, it's worth noting whenever you talk about something like this that these things are legal. Alcohol, tobacco, cannabis is illegal, which essentially has no side effects whatsoever apart from making you very hungry and giggly, lethargic, lazy. Yeah, I certainly don't recommend cannabis use if it's not something that's a part of your life. Then yeah, no need to involve it in your life, I think. But the reality of it is it's no more harmful than cigarettes or alcohol. In fact, it's less harmful, I would say, and probably has far more benefits, i.e. some kind of spiritual benefits, as any Rastafarian or some Hindus might tell you. And it even has a lot of medical benefits, which you can research for yourself, because I'm certainly not an expert, but I have read many accounts of the medicinal benefits of marijuana. But of course, if that were legal, I think the pharmaceutical industry, which is responsible for a large part of the addiction in the world, that's something people don't even talk about, the amount of people addicted to prescription drugs. If people could alleviate their ailments with cannabis, then they wouldn't buy prescription drugs. There's always more to every story, but I didn't actually want to talk about those kind of addictions. That's about 4 minutes I've spent talking about that now, about what you might normally perceive as addiction. The addiction that I really wanted to deal with in this video was the addiction to modern living, addiction to money, addiction to power, addiction to sugar, or it's another substance, addiction to meat. You know, these things that we do that just don't make any sense really if you analyse them. I'm going to go to that with that meat one first, because you know, that's an addiction for me, I would say. I mean, I'm quite sure you shouldn't kill anything just to eat, should you? You know, because you're hungry. I mean, you can eat a banana, you can eat potatoes, you can eat soy protein. You know, large part of the world eat a lot of soy protein, and it pretty much serves the purpose of meat for those guys. You know, you can eat oranges, you can eat apples. There's so many things you can eat, so many sources of protein. I don't think you should kill something for doing that. But having said that, this is Mike Hunt, hypocrite, coming at you again. I fucking love it. I love the taste of meat, man. I love a steak, I love bacon, I love sausages. And I don't know really if I'm ever going to be able to drop that addiction. Now, there is a good argument that maybe that is part of the food chain, that is the natural order. As I've explained before, you know, all things in the world that we are able to perceive are a manifestation of the universe simply existing. Thus, every part of that equation, you know, it has some kind of relevance to the other parts, and maybe it is meant to be that, you know, the larger animals eat the smaller animals, and that's how we sustain ourselves, and that's how we grow, and that's how we evolve. Maybe that is meant to be, you know. A good friend of mine, he explains that, you know, the benefits of protein for the human brain, and saying that we simply wouldn't be at this stage of evolution if we didn't eat meat. You know, I don't know, maybe it's true, so what I could say is absolutely certainly is true is if you are going to eat meat, it should be done on a as per demand. You know, we should have perhaps small communities that you know, they kill a cow and feed a family, or feed several families. Certainly shouldn't be something that's pre-packaged and refrigerated and transported, and which causes all kinds of other implications for the environment, and, you know, stored in shops and thrown away if nobody buys it. Certainly shouldn't be that situation. But, you know, whatever. Anyway, there's for and against. For me, it can't be right to kill things just to eat them. It can't be right, man. And I do it, and at the moment I see myself continuing to do it. So please don't think I'm standing on some high moral ground here. I'm just trying to see things how they really are. That's all I try and do in my life. That's why my last video was called Mike Hunt Hypocrite, because I am hypocritical in that sense. But we shouldn't get diverted from the truth through the notion of hypocrisy, because just because I'm a weak individual doesn't mean that I'm not able to see the truth. And if I'm speaking the truth, if you think that you are now listening to the truth, I would hope that you hold that in, you think about that in some way, and maybe that might help your actions in the future. That's just my small hope, as a weak, hypocritical individual, that I can still do something positive through my words. Hence the fact I'm making these videos. And like I was saying, you know, I'm still, you know, the most important thing I think we could do in society is, you know, devise an entirely new economical system. However, at this moment, I'm kind of pretty into spending money myself, and I enjoy doing that. And there's a lot of fun things you can spend money on, and you know, money's handy in many senses, in its portability, durability, divisibility, you know, these kind of things, and economists would explain that better than I. But yeah, but it's fucking us all up, man. But we're addicted to it. We need it, you know. We need that power. We love this kind of freedom that we perceive. But if we really looked into it, we'd realise that it's not providing us with any freedom at all. It's actually keeping us in pure slavery. But we can't stop. You know, we can't stop all these things that we do, you know, eating meat, eating sugar, eating additives, smoking cigarettes, taking other recreational drugs, taking harder drugs, just, you know, trying to control people, trying to manipulate people to serve our own ends. We know all these things are wrong. I know these things are wrong. I continue doing them. You continue doing them. You're probably the same as me, a lot of you watching this, you know. If you've got any interest in things that I'm saying, it's probably because we're you know, our consciousness inhabits the same realm, and we have the same feelings about a lot of issues. So yeah, man, we are addicted to so many things in society, and we know we should stop doing them, but we can't. We refuse to, and that is the biggest tragedy of it all. And we know it. We walk along and we just ignore it, because in that split moment we feel good about it. We have some kind of, you know, temporary uplift from doing these things and from living this way. And we should really be concentrating on our futures, because it ain't just about us, it's about the generations that follow us, isn't it? So how do you want your children to be raised? How do you want grandchildren to be raised? You know, how do you want how do you want this planet to evolve in the future? Or are you happy with evolution to kind of stop where it is, as is like pretty much the case now? And we just all we are is consumers, you know. And we never improve this world, and we watch it deteriorate, and we complain about it, but we say, you know, that's how it is, isn't it? That's how it goes. That's just life, isn't it? No, that ain't life. None of this is life. What we're experiencing at the moment, the way that we're living, it's not. It's a version of life. It's an illusion of life, and it's something that we can change if we can conquer our addictions. So again, I always kind of get a bit sidetracked once I start talking in front of the camera. I never quite make the point that I wanted to make, but I think it's in there somewhere. So thank you for listening, if you managed to listen to all of this. And the next one's going to be coming up very shortly. I've told you about my hypocrisy, I've told you about my addiction, and I'm going to talk about, you know, one of the major addictions that society suffers from in the next video, and that's called fear. It's hit me pretty badly lately. Even if you're not really feeling it yourself, you're certainly seeing it all around you, and it's certainly something that, again, you've been bred to experience, and it's something that's not going to stop unless we do something about it. So we'll talk about that in the next video. This is Mike Hunt, Addict, signing off. See ya.